Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta. This one is about Tone King's Imperial Mark II 20-watt tube amplifier. First, let's listen to a song I wrote in the spirit of Allman Brothers' Soul Shine. Tone King Imperial Mark II. Fantastic old school Tweed style JDM 45 tube rectifier. Great vibe on that amp. Immediately when I plugged it in, I started to play Allman Brothers' Soul Shine, and the song it was pretty close, so let's see if I get some, copyright claims. I changed the chords and the structure a little bit, but it was, if nothing else, then really inspired. I was really inspired by Allman Brothers, one of my absolutely all-time favorite bands, Linus Skinner, Allman Brothers. I love Southern rock, among many other things, music styles. But yeah, so this one made in USA, and it's pretty much like a Tweed style, 20 watt old school tube amp, no master volume. These are preamp volumes, so the louder you crank them, the louder the amp gets and the more gain. Same with the tone controls. On the rhythm channel there's just treble and bass, and it's like on a plexi on these old school amps. Let's say you turn bass, yes, it adds the bass frequencies, but it adds also volume and gain. And the lead channel, it has only tone control, from darker to brighter, and the mid bite, which is kind of like I will show you. It's pretty much like a kind of like tube screamer, so it really pushes the mids into overdrive. And then there's reverb and tremolo. I guess you saw I used that on the song at one point. Dial it in really quite subtly, and it comes with this full switch where you can switch the channels and the tremolo on and off. The reverb you can't switch via full switch, at least with the one that the amp comes with. There's 5 preamp tubes. Two of them are 12 AX7s. I need to cheat a bit, which are preamp tubes. Then one is 12 HA7, which is a reverb driver. Okay, and then the fourth one is 12 AX7. That's a reverb receiver. The fifth tube is 12 AX7s, so yeah, there's 4 12 AX7s. And the fifth one is a phase inverter, when the signal goes from preamp to power, and then needs to be phase inverter tube to invert the phase. So that, yeah, let's not get into too technical. And then 2 6V6 output tubes, and one 5AR4 tube rectifier tube. And on the song, I used both channels, the rhythm and lead, and then at the end I kicked in a blues driver, which I did there when I noodled, just to little bit push it more forward. And I guess you heard in the song, it kind of started to really sag, like get this when I pushed it with the input with a blues driver. I like blues driver, especially with these older Tweed style amps. It works really well with plexi also, and with the Boogie's channel 1 Tweed mode and channel 2 Edge mode, which I'm gonna compare these two. So I'm gonna compare these to 1987X Plexi, which has a solid state rectifier, so it's a lot harder. And then the Boogie Mark V, which is really great amp, one of my probably only like this multi-channel amp that really captures different tones really well. So I'm having it now. Channel 1 is on the Tweed mode, 45 watt mode, variac on, and then the tube rectifier, which I believe is the same tube, 5AR4. I might be wrong, I can't remember. So 45 watt tube rectifier, then the channel 2 is on the Edge mode, which is a little bit like a Plexi JDM 45. And they're also 45 watt mode, and the tube rectifier is on. And yeah, the variac, like I said. And the Plexi, I have a variac also there behind a big box, which reduces the power to 190 volts, because here in Europe it's 220, 230, sometimes even 240. I'm getting now 224, my power conditioner says. So yeah, that's the amp. And then back there's a let me cheat what there was, because I haven't really studied this. I just plugged it in and started to play. I was like, yeah, this is really cool. Well, there's a Yeah, full switch in and out and power on, and yeah, the power switches are in the back, which is a little bit, if you have this in the rack, it's a bit complicated, I guess, because there will be room, but you know, it's a design thing. I usually like the power switches to be in front so that I don't have to reach to the back, but anyway. And then there's a power attenuator. Tone King's own Ironman II power attenuator, which is really good. So we're gonna check into that soon, how that works. The tremolo is great also. So that's pretty much it. So let's check out the tones a little bit. I tweak the knobs so you hear. So now we are. Oh yeah, and the gear. It's a Tokai Les Paul standard with Seymour Duncan custom and 59 neck pickups. These can be both turned into single coils, but on the song now I'm gonna use this, you know, in a humbucking mode. Then it goes to the pedal board, and the only pedal I used on the song was the blues driver, and what I'm gonna use now. Then into KHE Audio's amp switcher, and then into these amps, back to KHE, and then behind there in the rack is Sandrock's reactive load, which has also a cabinet attenuator, and I have there my trusty old impulse response from Jens Bogren called Valovirta. It works on everything. It's really general overall, even IR, and I use that on a lot of these amp demos, because you know, then if you want to check out my other videos, there's a, you know, you can compare, because the IR doesn't really change, only the amp, because as you know, impulse response cabinets, speakers, they usually have quite huge impact on the overall tone. And then the signal goes to Steinberg's AXR40 audio interface, and then I'm recording this to Cubase. So the cabinet isn't now on. My voice is being picked up by a Rode microphone on top of the camera, and then the signal goes from the reactive load to the Cubase. But I'll show you the attenuator too, you know, with the cab, and then the audio will be picked up by the microphone. But let's get into that soon. So yeah, really cool amp, 20 watt and rhythm channel. So when you dial it back, it gets quite clean. And then the more you turn it on, at a certain point, like on the Plexi and non-master volume amps, it doesn't add volume, it just starts to add gain, because there's no master volume, so everything goes from preamp to power amp like unaffected, uncontrolled. So around noon it adds a little bit volume, then it starts to add gain. You get this really nice sag and kind of a little bit spongy feel because of the tube rectifier. So I mean, this is, if I crank this, you hear the kind of like the here around the sweet spot where it still cleans. Oops. I mean, you don't get like crystal clean sounds from these, but I love these because there's always a little bit kind of breakup like happening. Fantastic. Only tube amps can do this properly, in my opinion. Good tube amps. And then the treble and bass. You know, it kind of adds like a distortion. It doesn't do much. It's basically a kind of distortion to higher frequency. And bass. You hear it adds bass frequencies, volume and gain. These are so cool amps to play. Alright, the tremolo, let's turn that on with the foot switch. Let's add a little bit chorus. Yeah, Twin Peaks vibe. Really cool. Okay, tremolo off, then the lead channel. So it has a volume, it acts the same way than on the rhythm channel, so the more you dial, the more volume, the more gain. Chorus off. Now, like with all non-master volume amps, they sound really thin if you don't crank them. And when you crank them, they're really loud. I mean, this is 20 watt, but it's loud. You know, there around 2 o'clock, it starts to really add low and. And then the tone knob. Now it's almost kind of like 8/9 is an Plexi style, really. The mid body is really cool. It adds like gain to mid frequencies. Check out what happened. Now it's the rhythm channel. Then when I add a two screamer, same thing. You know, it pushes the mid frequencies and they distort. Super overdrive. SD1 doesn't add that much mid than Juice Screamer. And then the blues drive. So you can get the rhythm channel sound pretty much the same or really close than the lead channel by just using a overdrive in front. And like you heard the blues driver, that it's quite flat, so it just boosts the overall signal. Then if I use a 1 plus dB booster, which is just a booster, no overdrive, it's frequency, it's flat, so it boosts everything. And because it's in front of the amp, the boost, it pushes the preamp gains. If I would have the boost in the loop, then it would add volume. Well, but there is no loop. Or was there a loop? No, there isn't a loop. So if you wanna increase the volume for leads, then the lead channel, and then, you know, turning the the volumes differently. So that's that. Okay, then let's just compare it to a couple of other kind of similar amps, so you get an idea, you know, ballpark, a little bit reference. I'm gonna use the rhythm channel, and then the Boogie's channel 1 on the Tweed mode. So you hear how actually really well the Boogie does Tweed too. So it's not just a metal amp. But one of the reasons I got this was this, because I wanted to have an amp that does the tube rectifier sag, the low power wattage and stuff. This does it pretty well. So first this. You probably don't feel it, obviously, but I feel it's quite close. I mean, I very quickly dialed this in, so I add a little bit bass and mids. Boogie does that pretty well. Then a Plexi is, because it's 50 watt this, and no master volume, so this is extremely loud. So I need to dial in back the input level again to reactive load. But this one, because it has a master, so I could dial it as quiet as this one. But listen. So Plexi, really aggressive solid state rectifier. Okay, then back to this one. The lead channel. This is a little bit closer to Plexi, even though it has a tube rectifier, because of the mid bite. So those were the differences. Let's now compare Boogie's channel 2 on the edge mode, which is a little bit like a Plexi or JD, more like a JDM45 Marshall, because now I have the tube rectifier on. So, Boogie, channel 2 edge mode. really good also. Okay, and then the chonking. Yeah, it's great. So absolutely fantastic amp. This, since it's 21, it really zags, and I think I played, recorded with a real Tweed, believe it or not, on Shining's albums, and Andy LaRocque's Sonic Train Studios, and I think this does the Tweed thing better than these. Obviously, well, this doesn't even try to be Tweed, but really good original. Boogie does it also really well, with a bit more tweaking. I would probably get it to even closer, but the feel is there because of the tube rectifier. Okay, then I will do a few things. I will connect the cab and use it with the Ironman attenuator, and let's check out how that sounds and feels and what it does. Okay, so now the cab is on. Well, the cab has been on all the time. I just, because there's an attenuator switch on this Ant Rock, and I had it on 0, so nothing comes out from the cab. Now the cab goes straight, or the amp is connected directly to the cabinet now, so there's nothing in between. It's really loud. Like, I can't dare to play, because there's, yeah, my ears will be ringing. So now it's, you hear. I think the mic will go overdrive. But anyway, okay, let's check out what the attenuator does. Now it's full. There's like clicks. Yeah. It works really well. Okay. Now it's the second position. Yeah, so it's pretty much, it's cranked, but the volume is, and then usually what happens with attenuators, or always, because many people have asked me that does this and that attenuator affects the tone. Yeah, they all do, obviously, because the speaker, for it to work the best, it needs power, it needs to move air. So the more power it gets, the more it moves, the more low end, the more high end, the more everything it will put out. If you reduce that power, even though the amp is cranked, but you have an attenuator between the amp and the cab, obviously the speakers don't react the same way. So yes, it always does. So, but I mean, I don't use attenuators ever when I'm recording or anything, because the main thing is that, if you want to play like home or a small club, you will still get the cranked sound, and you can compensate it by dialing more bass and more treble. But what is cool with this attenuator, there's a switch that kinda artificially brings back to that, so that it sounds like the cabinets are moving more. So let me turn that on and let's see. You hear? When it's on, suddenly there was a little bit more low and a little bit more high. Yeah, now it sounds like the cab would be really moving. Really good attenuator, I must say. Conclusion. Great amp. If you're looking for Tweed, JDM 45, those early 50s, 60s, fat, saggy, velvety, but also nasty tones that go from clean to really nasty, filthy overdrive. Absolutely, you might want to check out this amp, because I think it's absolutely fantastic. Hey, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this interesting and informative. Until next time, take care, all the best, bye.